So today in this video, let us talk about iOS 18 on this iPhone 15 Pro Max because I have been using the very same thing from about more than 2 weeks now, and I think that this thing over here is really the best Android smartphone that you can get in the year 2024. And yes, you heard it right, I said it the best Android smartphone because this thing comes with Android 18, right? I mean, Android 18 is equals to iOS 18, or maybe I'm just a madman right now, but you will know that why I'm saying all those things in this video, because yes, it is the best implementation of iOS 18 and this is what I would want Android to be in the very first place. So yes, now people would say that Apple is a copycat and Apple just copied everything that Android had to offer, but yes, it is just like saying that the Mazda car and the Mercedes car is exactly the same thing because both of them are all-wheel drive and both of them can drive, right? So yeah, just because both of them are all-wheel drive and both of them can drive, it does not mean that both of them are one and the same thing, only because this thing over here is the best that any smartphone can offer in the year 2024, and it really makes this iPhone 15 Pro Max a good smartphone, better than what it was initially when this thing was launched. Well, now this is the way that Apple has always been. They just want to innovate and they just do not want to compete against the best of the Android or best of the other smartphones in the market, but they just want to be the competition. And even though that it takes years for them to just bring the same features that most of the other smartphones have, but this thing over here, they just kill every time when they have something new in the market. And honestly, this iOS 18 firmware on this iPhone 15 Pro Max is the start of another era, just like what we started with the iPhone 2 and all the other iPhones that we had in the market in the previous times. Now again, I have been testing iOS 18 for almost 2 weeks now, and even with no Apple intelligence on this device over here, it is complete new experience for the people who are using Apple devices from a very long time. Now I will not talk about a lot of AI features in this video because technically AI is not present on the beta one of the software that I'm testing right now, but you should know a few things, just like AI is now called Apple Intelligence on the Apple devices, and the only smartphones that would be getting the same software is the ones starting from the iPhone 15 Pro and the 15 Pro Max and all the other iPhones that will be available in the next year. So yes, the iPhone 13, the 13 Pro, the 14, the 14 Pro, and even the basic iPhone 15 and 15 Plus would not be getting the very same update as we can see over here. But yes, Siri can now work over the board and it just does not require any kind of cloud to be able to pull the information and give you all the answers. And even though if you need the large action models, it would be going through the private cloud from Apple. That is another a separate thing for a separate video, but it is the most secure way, and I think no other device, including all the major Android devices, have been able to achieve the same level of security that Apple has been able to do with what you have with Apple Intelligence. And this is particularly something that I will make a separate video about. But yes, for all the other requests that Apple thinks that ChatGPT would be more suitable with, I think that they will prompt you and they will ask you that do you want the information to be shared with ChatGPT over the cloud, and that is the only time when this information would be shared over the cloud. And yes, basically you are the one who are giving the permission, and even after giving the permission, everything is under the control as everything is going through the private cloud system. And this is something that is just amazing. I think Apple has just nailed the AI thing on the Apple devices, and this is again the best implementation of the AI that we have around in any device that we have in the market, not just the smartphones but also the laptops and the iPads as well, because yes, this thing is just nailing it all. Now let us just get back to the topic, because you did not open this video to hear from me about all the AI stuff that is happening on the iPhone 15 Pro Max with iOS 18, and you just want to know that what is different in this new system over here that is making me say that this is the best version of Android. And the very first thing is the customizations. Now again, people would say customization is something that is very old, and Apple is and Android has been basically able to do the very same thing from a long time. But yes, the things are very different on this iOS 18 for a lot of reasons. Now, when I use an Android smartphone and when I look at the customization, I always feel that why do I have to place icons on the home screen and why there is a separate app drawer that I need to swipe down from down to up, and then is the only way that I can just get into the app drawer. So why are two different places over there, and why is everything so ugly on Android smartphones? Sometimes if we just do not really customize those things really well. But here we go. The reality is that if I'm using an Android smartphone, I just want to get rid of most of the icons on the home screen versus something like on this Apple device with the new customizations. I just want to keep icons on the home screen because we are used to the very same thing on the Apple devices. And even though if I want to go into something like the app drawer, I have got the app library, which is basically, the name suggests, it is a library, which means that everything is just organized and I do not have to put some extra efforts to be able to find and look for the applications. That is something that is very annoying on the Android smartphones. And even though that those smartphones does have the options to categorize everything alphabetically and by the name, and so much so, it is just very difficult to find each and every icon and put it in a separate folder and just make the customizations, which are very hard. But on the Apple side, you have got the app library and everything is just placed very well. You just do not need to find everything because you know that you have got a particular folder which is named by Apple accordingly, and it is just very easy to use the system over here versus something like Android. And again, as I said, the home screen just does not look ugly. I love the larger icons on the Apple iPhones, and now you can just customize it and move it anywhere, which is another thing that I'm just loving this iOS 18 on this iPhone 15 Pro Max with. And even after this perfectly sized icon, which I can again customize and again make it large or small, I even have another mode where I can make the dark icons with the background that is also suited for a light and the dark one, which is another thing. And also now I have got another functionality on the Apple iOS 18 which lets me choose the tint of the color that you want on the icons on the home screen, which is another great addition. And I can also use the color picker on these icons to be able to choose the color from the background, or maybe I would say the tint from the background, which is the correct word over here, which is again one of the greatest thing. And again, I have options to choose from bright icons to the dark icons to the tint icons, or the system designed automatic mode, which is again one of the simplest one and the best one that I figured out on this iPhone on iOS 18 over here. So yes, basically it is Android on steroids, and this is why I just love the way the customizations are there on this iOS 18, because yet again, if there is an application that does support widgets on the screen, you would be able to just convert the normal icons by tapping on it and choosing the size of the widget. That is something that is preset, as some of the applications may just allow you to have a small size or a medium size, and some of them would have all the three sizes, small, medium, large. But yet again, you can do with a lot of icons on the home screen. That is again something amazing. And also, if you just want multiple widgets on the home screen but you just do not have a lot of space, you can do a very small trick over here. You just need to long press on the home screen and look for the widgets that are of the similar size. Now you can overlap the widgets, and now you have got a perfect cursor effect that you can get on the widgets, and you can just swipe up and down with multiple widgets over here. And this way you have got multiple widgets, and also at the same time the home screen is as clean as what it could be. And this is again something that is not possible on Android. So people who would say that Android is something that is the best and Apple is just copying, it is not the very same thing. Both of those systems are really great, and both of them are designed for two different purposes. And even though that iOS 18 has got a lot of customization features, it does not mean that it has copied Android in any way. So yes, I am making my point, and sorry to all the Android fanboys, because even though that I am one of you, I'm just pleased to talk about everything that this iOS 18 update has to offer. It is just the greatest experience that you can get. Now, the Google Material UI is also awesome, and since I used to develop the Android applications and I used to design on Figma as well, I know that how great it is. But again, as I said before, Apple is using tints rather than using colors on the dark icons, which in my opinion as a designer, I would say that it looks way much more better than what you have on Android smartphone. And even though Android makes you change the colors on all the icons, it just skips one of them or two of them or 10 of them most of the times, which is not the case with again this iOS 18, because there is no icon left which is not colored. So yes, basically Apple has just perfected the system that Again, Android started it in a very different way, but yes, it is tint, not colors, as Apple just mentioned. And now I want to talk about all the security and the privacy feature on iOS 18 versus what we have on Android 15, and mostly about the Google Pixel 8 Pro, because yes, that is the golden standard over here, because now we have got a private space feature on the Google Pixel 8 Pro with the latest beta of Android 15. And even though it is a great feature, we always used to have the same feature on the Android devices as a different user account. And even though that a similar functionality was already available on Android devices, just be honest, how many of you people really just use that functionality in your life? Maybe a very few times, but not a lot of times. That even though this private space would turn out to be a very good feature, I do not think so a lot of people would use the very same feature on the Google Pixel devices. And even though I'm saying it is a very good implementation, but I think what Apple is able to implement with this iOS 18, it is even better, because you can just do everything on your home screen. Again, you just need to long press on the icon and it will take you to the menu, and from that menu you can choose the required Face ID option, which is how Apple is doing it. And once you are on that option, it will require the Face ID, it will scan your face, and then you can just see the icon disappearing from the home screen, and it will be put under the hidden application folders. That is something that is under the app library. And again, every time you just want to see the very same application to the other people, it will show as a hidden folder, which is not true, because it requires your Face ID, because it is your iPhone. And then only when you scan your face, it will be showing all the applications that is under the hidden folder over here, which is just insane and awesome. And I think Android should just learn from Apple over here. Now, there are some other cool features on the iOS 18 as well. For example, the Photos application has been updated and for a better good. And again, people would say it is the more like the Photos application on Android counterpart, but it is just a big mess. It is just very hard to find options on the Google Photos application, even though people might think no, it is not very difficult. And that is just because you just got used to that application over there. But trust me, when you just start using the iOS 18 application, you would just realize that how well designed this thing is, and how Apple is able to just manage everything on this application, because you now know that where to go and where are the options to hide the screenshots or to show them. And even you know that when you scroll way up into the Photos application, and when you just need to go back to the bottom of the screen, because yes, you can swipe down, or there is a cross icon, which is the simplest way to tell the very same thing, and it will just bring you to the bottom of the screen. And again, when you just swipe up from the bottom, it will show the things like the faces and the pets and all the personal print collections and the library. It is just how the vanilla Android should happen from the very first day. And again, I'm an Android fanboy, and maybe it is just a frustration, or maybe I just want Android to be better. And I think that Android can catch up pretty easily on this thing, because yes, I think Android is one of the best softwares that is available in the market, even though iOS 18 is pretty crazy. Now, another one subtle change that I just noticed on this iPhone 15 Pro Max is the way that the flashlight application works on this one over here, because yes, it is just crazy good in the terms of the animation, because now you have got functionality that not even that you can just change the lumens on the flashlight, but also you can just increase and decrease the width of the brightness. And that is again something that I have not seen on any other Android smartphone, because yes, you can maybe change the lumens on all the other Android applications, but you can just not make the focus wide or narrow. And this is something that is pretty useful in the darker area conditions, when you just need the flashlight to be focused on a particular place. And yes, Apple is able to do so, and that is with the iOS 18. And again, I would say this is something that Android really needs to copy. And also with this new iOS 18 update, now you can change the icons on the lock screen as well, which is again something that Android has been able to do from a very long time, but it is very simple to do on the Apple smartphone, because again, it has not got a lot of settings and not a lot of features. And you just know that you need to go into the wallpaper application, and you can just customize the home screen along with the lock screen. And also you can assign the actions as well to the lock screen icon, which is something that is not available on the Android devices. So something that is very much prominent on the Apple devices as of now. And now also, how can I forget about the control center update on the iOS 18, because yes, it is again one of the best and industry leading that we have seen in the longest time, because now we can just swipe between different pages, and we can just have different pages for different settings. For example, a very particular page for just the icons for the Bluetooth connection or the Wi-Fi connections, and so much so. And another one that would be for a very specialized feature, maybe just starting a Tesla from a widget, or I would say from an icon on the control center. That would be a very cool one, along with certain other control center icons that could be just used for the home applications, turning on the light, turning off the light, and so much so yes, I think Apple has done a great job over here as well, and Apple now allows a separate API for the control center, which is again a very good thing, because now a lot of developers can just develop their own control center icon, and maybe a lot of things will be coming in the future. Some of the things we are just not seeing right now, but it may make the life easier, and that is all what this Apple iPhone, the iOS 18 update is all about. It just wants to make the life easy rather than making everything a very complex system, and that was the way that Android used to be. Now the point is that even though Android has got a lot of features, as I just mentioned in this video, maybe Apple is just able to do the very same thing in a better way. But again, apart from that, we have got all the classic Apple features that you should not forget. For example, the action button, which can be just customized to do whatsoever you want. Maybe you are someone who are lazy to properly plug in the charger in the night, and the next morning you see that the phone is not charged. You can just create an automation for the very same thing on the iPhone. So yes, all the previous functionality, as I talked in the other videos in the past, it is all present still on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. And again, we have got all the new customizations, all the new features on this iOS 18. And again, I am not including any Apple Intelligence feature, because that is something that we would talk about when those features are available. But yes, I think that you got the point. This iOS 18 update is a pretty huge one, and even though that we still do not have AI to play with on this smartphone, I think this would be official when you have the iPhone 16 Pro Max, the 16 Pro, and the entire 16 lineup. But still, as of now, I would say it is still a better smartphone than any other smartphone in the Android lineup in the market right now. And yes, it is a pretty hard to beat smartphone, and I would say this is really the best Android smartphone that we have got in the market, because yes, again, I just wanted Android to be every bit of the same thing that I can do with this iOS 18. Now, that was all about this video. My name is Anshul. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.